At the team lunch, my manager rolled his eyes and said, "Honestly, she's like a wind-up toy, wind her up with instructions, and pray she doesn't wander off." Everyone laughed as he waved his fork and added, "Bless her, she tries." I waited until bonus evaluations were due, then submitted a full report showing how I had exceeded every metric he had failed. Guess who got promoted, and guess who wasn't even invited to the announcement? Hey Reddit, I've never posted anything like this before, but I think this one belongs here. What happened to me over the last few months still makes me shake when I think about it. I was humiliated in front of my whole team, and instead of quitting or crying, I decided to get smart. This is how I quietly outworked my own manager, stole the promotion he thought was his, and made sure he wasn't even in the room when it was announced. Let me back up. I work at a mid-sized marketing firm in Milwaukee. It's not Google or anything fancy, but it's decent. Benefits are fine, pay is okay, but advancement? That's the problem. People can sit in the same position for 5, 6 years and never move an inch unless they play politics hard. And I'm not good at that part. I've always believed in just doing the work. Like, actually doing the work. No skipping, no passing things off, no taking credit for stuff I didn't do. I figured if I worked hard, eventually someone would notice. But I had one big obstacle, Brad. Brad was my direct manager. He's got that fake friendly tone and a forced smile that never touches his eyes. You know the type, always schmoozing with upper management, always finding ways to disappear when things go wrong, always in the break room laughing when you're on a deadline. Brad liked to act like he was mentoring me. He wasn't. Most of the time, he just dumped his crap on my desk and told me to take a stab at it, and when it went well, he'd slide into the email thread and wrap it up like it had been his idea all along. Now, I could deal with that. I've dealt with worse. What really set me off was what happened during our Q1 team lunch. There were 9 of us. We went to this budget Italian place down the street from the office. Everyone ordered the same boring pasta, and Brad was doing his usual "I'm the funny boss" routine, cracking half-assed jokes, pretending to forget deadlines, asking the new intern if she was handling the testosterone level in the room okay. Gross. At one point, someone brought up how helpful I'd been with getting a new monthly analytics report set up. It had been a nightmare before, 3 days worth of sorting data manually every month, and I'd built a tool to automate most of it. Saved the team hours. I didn't bring it up. Someone else did. Brad laughed and said, "Yeah, Jen is like a wind-up toy, wind her up with instructions and pray she doesn't wander off." The table chuckled. Then he added, with a fake little laugh, "Bless her, she tries." It went quiet for a second. I smiled and nodded like it didn't sting. But it did. I sat there, frozen, with my fork in midair and a tightness in my chest I hadn't felt since college. No one said anything. No one defended me. The conversation moved on. But in my head, it didn't. That moment split something inside me. I went home that night and opened a new spreadsheet. I named it something boring so no one would click on it, Team Output Overview Q1. Inside, I started logging everything. Every task I completed. Every deadline I met. Every project I carried over the finish line without help. And then, every task Brad had assigned me that was supposed to be his. Every screw-up I quietly fixed for him. Every email I wrote that he copy-pasted and claimed as his own. I color-coded them. I added timestamps, names, attachments. I was careful. Precise. At the same time, I also made sure I wasn't just doing my job. I went above. I stayed late. I took initiative. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't complain. I just kept building the record. Because I knew something most of the team didn't, bonus evaluations and promotions were coming up. Brad had been talking about it for months. How he was finally going to level up, how he'd be a director soon, how we should all start thinking about who'd take on more team responsibilities once he moved up. He never said it out loud, but the message was clear: I wasn't in that conversation. But what he didn't know: I was done waiting for permission to be seen. After 6 weeks of logging everything, I requested a private meeting with our HR director. Her name was Marissa. We'd only spoken a few times before, but I could tell she wasn't easily impressed. I came in with my spreadsheet printed and tabbed. I brought samples of Brad's assignments and the final versions I'd cleaned up. I showed client feedback that praised my work, emails he had forwarded with his name attached. I showed the side-by-side, his KPIs versus mine. His miss rate. My delivery rate. She didn't say much. Just took notes and asked a few short questions. I left feeling like maybe I'd gone too far. Or not far enough. But 2 weeks later, everything changed. We got an email from our VP, team meeting and promotion announcements, Thursday at 10 a.m. Mandatory attendance. Brad was glowing. He came in the next day all full of himself, talking about how timing is everything and how some people need to get ready for new leadership. He winked at me at one point and said, "Don't worry, I'll still make time for you once things shift." I smiled. I said nothing. But inside? I was boiling. Thursday came. Everyone gathered. Brad showed up in a navy blazer and a new haircut. I swear he had a speech ready. I think he even told his wife he'd be getting a promotion that morning. But when our VP got up in front of the team, she smiled directly at me. "I'm proud to announce a leadership track promotion for someone whose initiative, work ethic, and documentation stood far above the rest." Everyone turned. "Congratulations to Jenna, our new Associate Director of Operations." There was clapping, a few cheers. I stood up slowly, trying to keep my legs from shaking. My heart was thudding so loud I could barely hear the rest of her speech. Brad? He didn't clap. He didn't speak. He just sat there, frozen, like he'd swallowed a mouthful of nails. But the part that got me? He wasn't even mentioned. At all. After the meeting, I found out his name had been quietly removed from the running. Apparently, after seeing the numbers, upper management started digging. They didn't like what they found. His promotion was dead in the water before the meeting even started. He wasn't passed over. He was excluded. And now? He's been working remote. Some say he's looking for a new job. Some say he's re-evaluating his path. All I know is, no one calls me a wind-up toy anymore. The promotion felt good. It really did. But it didn't fix everything. For a while, I thought maybe things would finally fall into place. I had a new title, a new desk, and for the first time, my own small team. People started coming to me with questions instead of Brad. Even the higher-ups stopped looping him in on certain projects. I was being copied on things he used to lead. It felt like I'd stepped out of the shadows. But Brad wasn't gone. And he wasn't done. The first sign was small. I noticed he stopped replying to emails from me, even when they were urgent. Then I saw him rescheduling meetings last minute that I had set with clients we were supposed to work on together. One time, he just didn't show up at all, and then later claimed he didn't see the invite. Then there were the subtle jabs in meetings. He'd ask me to walk him through my proposals, even when the deck was already in the shared drive with notes. He'd interrupt halfway through and say things like, "Right, this is a great starter idea, but what's the actual plan?" Then he'd twist my points into his own words and make it sound like I hadn't thought things through. It was petty. But it worked. People started second-guessing me again. I'd just gotten promoted, and somehow I felt like I was being tested more than ever. Then came the second twist. A client pulled out. One of our longtime B2B clients. The type that made up a big chunk of our revenue, suddenly ended their contract. I got the email forwarded to me by accident. It wasn't addressed to me. It was sent to Brad and our VP. The client was furious. Apparently, something had gone wrong with the last campaign delivery. Files were sent late. One of the designs hadn't been QA'd. Their email list was incorrectly segmented and they sent the wrong version to the wrong demographic, all things that I wasn't even assigned to anymore. That was Brad's client now. But here's the thing, when the fallout started, he didn't take the heat. He blamed me. He said the miscommunication started when I transitioned out of support on that account and didn't give him a full rundown. He said he had been left with holes in the process. He made it sound like I had set him up to fail. And for a moment, I actually thought the higher-ups believed him. That was the second time I felt it. That burning, icy feeling in my gut. I wasn't going to let it happen again. I stayed late one night and pulled every email, every doc, every calendar invite from that project's transition. I had clearly sent over a handover file with timelines, notes, login credentials, and even flagged some open issues that needed his attention. I had CC'd him. I had read receipts. I even had a Teams message where he said, "Got it, all good, I'll take it from here." I put it all in a folder. This time, I didn't go to HR. I went to our VP directly. I asked for 5 minutes. I walked in calm, collected, and handed her the file. I told her I wasn't there to throw anyone under the bus, but that I refused to be the scapegoat for someone else's screw-up. She didn't say anything right away. But I saw her face change. Like a switch flipped. The next day, Brad's name disappeared from 2 more client accounts. And a third one, a new client we'd just signed, was reassigned. To me. But the real twist? That happened when I found something I wasn't supposed to see. A colleague, someone I'd always gotten along with, accidentally forwarded me a thread Brad had started. A private one. Between him and 2 other managers. It was titled, "Can we talk about Jenna?" In the email, Brad said I was becoming a problem. He said I was power-hungry, territorial, and that I was breaking down team morale. He said he was worried I'd become a liability to leadership if I wasn't brought under control. I sat there staring at it, not even angry. Just stunned. I had done everything right. And he was still trying to tear me down behind closed doors. But now? Now I had real proof. He wasn't just undermining me, he was actively campaigning against me. And I knew exactly how to hit back. No shouting. No drama. No threats. Just cold, clear, undeniable facts. And this time I wasn't just protecting myself. I was going to end him, professionally. For good. After reading that email thread, I sat at my desk for almost an hour, just staring at the screen. I wasn't surprised that Brad was trash-talking me. But the way he framed it, making it sound like I was the one poisoning the team, like I was the one pulling strings, it hit different. He wasn't just trying to make me look bad. He was setting up a case to get me fired. That same week, I noticed something else. A junior analyst on our team, Devin, who used to come to me for everything, spreadsheets, templates, advice, suddenly stopped talking to me. He canceled a one-on-one we had scheduled. Then, I saw him walking out of a closed-door meeting with Brad. Devin wouldn't even make eye contact. Then it happened with Kelsey from the design team. Then another. It was like people were slowly pulling away. At first, I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Then I found out Brad had been having quiet chats with some of the junior staff. Telling them that I was too intense, that I was making mistakes upstairs, that leadership was watching me closely now. All lies. But subtle ones. Lies that make people uncomfortable, lies that don't leave a trail. It was like he was poisoning the air, just a little at a time. And it was working. I didn't want to turn it into a war. But I could feel the ground shifting under me. My work was still good. My results were clean. But that kind of whisper campaign, it didn't care about performance. It was about perception. If people believed I was the problem, they'd treat me like I was. And if enough people started treating me like a problem, leadership would start to agree. That's how it works. I'd seen it happen to other women in this office. But not me. Not this time. So I did something risky. I reached out to Marissa in HR again. I didn't report him, not officially. I just asked to talk off the record. She agreed. We met in one of the small side conference rooms where no one would hear us. I told her what I'd seen. The emails. The silent treatment. The shift in people. I said I wasn't accusing anyone of harassment, but I wanted her to know that I believed someone was actively sabotaging my reputation. She didn't look surprised. She leaned forward and said, "You're not the first person to bring up this kind of concern about Brad." That stopped me cold. I asked what she meant. She couldn't say much, but she gave me just enough. Apparently, 2 people had quietly left the company the year before, both women, both under Brad. One of them had filed a complaint, and then withdrawn it. The other just vanished. No exit interview, no notice. Suddenly everything made more sense. I left that meeting with my heart pounding. Brad wasn't just lazy or insecure. He was dangerous. And practiced. He knew how to stay just far enough away from the line that no one could pin anything on him. He knew how to twist the truth in rooms you weren't in. How to make you look like the unstable one while smiling through his teeth. But here's what he didn't know. I had been recording. It started with a voice memo, months earlier. After the wind-up toy comment at lunch. I recorded a few follow-ups here and there, just in case I needed them. Casual stuff, mostly just covering myself. But after that email thread, I started recording everything. Meetings. Hallway conversations. Even quick Zoom calls, always with that little recorder app open in the background. And one day, I hit the jackpot. Brad pulled me into a quick sync. Just the 2 of us. I hit record before walking in. It started off normal, status updates, campaign deadlines, resource requests. Then, just before I stood up to leave, he said it. Word for word. "You know, some people are starting to wonder if this promotion's gone to your head. Not everyone's thrilled about how you've been handling things." I paused. "What things?" He shrugged. "Let's just say, you're starting to look more like a threat than a teammate." I asked if that was a warning. He smiled. That same smug little smile I'd seen at lunch. "It's just advice. You're smart. I'd hate to see you burn out, or burn bridges." It was so slick. So clean. He'd done this before. I left the room, heart racing, palms sweaty, and a perfect, clean recording on my phone. I backed it up in 3 places. Then I started writing everything down. Every encounter. Every shift in tone. Every weird comment from coworkers. I even started interviewing a few of the quieter people, asking if they ever felt like Brad had crossed a line with them. 2 said yes. One of them started crying. I asked if she'd be willing to talk to HR. She said no. Not unless someone else went first. That's when I realized I couldn't just protect myself anymore. I had to burn it all down. I knew what I had to do. This wasn't just about me getting back at Brad for mocking me at lunch anymore. It wasn't even about him trying to block my career. It was about the pattern. The quiet destruction. The way he made people feel small and disposable. The way he got away with it over and over. He didn't just deserve to be stopped. He deserved to lose. So I stopped playing defense. I took a week. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I compiled everything, the emails, the meeting notes, the recordings, and the statements. I didn't pressure anyone to speak up, but I did let them know, quietly, that I was submitting an internal ethics complaint and backing it up with documents. I sent a full report to HR, RVP, and legal. The subject line was simple: formal complaint, pattern of targeted sabotage, retaliation, and misconduct, Brad, redacted. Inside were 3 sections. Workplace manipulation and retaliation, emails, meeting transcripts, witness notes, performance theft and credit stealing, side-by-side evidence of stolen work, delayed tasks, missed deliverables, verbal intimidation and threatening behavior, including the audio file where he told me I was a threat and smiled through it. I ended the email with this: I don't need an apology. I need the truth to stop getting buried. I'm not the first person he's done this to. I don't want to be the next person who stays quiet. Then I hit send. 3 hours later, I was pulled into a closed-door meeting. HR, legal. My VP. They had already started reviewing everything. Turns out, my email wasn't the first red flag about Brad this quarter. But it was the first one that had clear, undeniable evidence. When they played the audio out loud in the room, I watched our VP's face go stiff. HR just nodded slowly, writing things down. Legal didn't even ask questions. They just listened. When it was over, they thanked me. Not in a fake, corporate way. They actually thanked me. They said I'd be kept in the loop. That next steps were being taken. I walked out of that meeting shaky, but calm. I knew what was coming. Brad didn't show up the next day. Or the day after. Then came the announcement: Brad is no longer with the company. Effective immediately. No going away party. No exit email. Just, gone. But that's not all. What I didn't expect. What really knocked the air out of me. 3 days after he was fired, I got an email from the woman who cried in the break room. She'd submitted her own report. Then another junior employee did the same. Within 2 weeks, 4 complaints were on file. It was like once one person stood up, the rest realized they could, too. But here's the part that really hit me: 2 of the senior managers who'd backed Brad. The ones in that email thread he sent, the ones who let him trash me behind closed doors, got dragged into a quiet investigation. Turns out they'd been helping him freeze out other women on the team for years. They resigned at the end of the quarter. No send-offs. No statements. Just silence. Now, here's the last twist: a few weeks later, our VP called me into her office. I thought I was in trouble. I was nervous, even though everything had already gone down. She smiled and said, "We want to restructure your role." I blinked. Restructure how? She said, "We want you to build a new internal mentorship program. Train managers. Fix what was broken. You've already started doing the work anyway." And then she said the words I never thought I'd hear: "We'd like to promote you again, this time to director." I said yes. But I also said something else. I said, "Only if I get to pick my team." She said, "Deal." And Devin? The analyst who ghosted me after Brad got to him? I didn't put him on my team. Not out of revenge, just clarity. When people show you who they'll follow when things get ugly, believe them. It's been 6 months now. My team is strong. People speak up. We run things openly. We don't let whispers replace facts. No one gets rolled over. And every time I walk past the old conference room, the one where Brad tried to warn me, I smile a little. Not because I won. But because I'm still here. And he's not. Karma hit hard. So did the truth. And neither one needed a microphone.